Okay.
Welcome, Wargamers, to 2 Plus Tough. My name is Doug, and today we're going to take a step back while we wait for the Daughters of Cain book to come out, and kind of talk about something in the lore that we don't really harp on a lot, but is very actually integral to the fabric of the narrative, and that is Realmgates. Now, I'm going to be very clear, a lot of the information from this video came from another YouTube video that Games Workshop themselves released called A Traveler's Guide to the Mortal Realms. You can find a link to it in the show notes down below. You have to use a link because they put it up as an unlisted video, meaning you can't just do a search for it, you have to actually have the address. So a lot of the pictures and stuff you'll see are from that video. You should really go check it out. They talk about a lot more than Realmgates, but those are the things that I want to highlight in this video. Fundamentally, what are Realmgates? Well, they are complex passageways from one realm to another. They can travel a great distance from, like I said, one realm to a different one, as well as go from one point in the same realm to another, meaning if you're in the realm of metal, you can get around the realm of metal very quickly using Realmgates, or you can go to a different realm. Now, it's unclear how they came to be. We know they were around during the Age of Myth, really since the foundation of the mortal realms. Having them in existence allowed for a fast regrowth and population to spread all across the mortal realms very, very quickly. Having the Realmgates allowed for very, very rapid growth in population and society development after the ending of the old world. When you can instantly move your commerce, your culture, and your society expand that quickly, yeah, civilizations pop up really fast. They kind of make the realm's equivalent of globalization. We can all get things from where we need them to be to where they need to be very, very easily and safely. Now, we were introduced in one of the first Realmgate War books. It was in the Realm of Metal, where there was a gate that if you pivot it the right way, it could go to more than one location. Stormcasts come down. In the Realmgate War series, their first mission was always find a realm gate back home, so there was more stable travel and Sigmar didn't have to shoot everyone by lightning all the time. And so they found a gate that the Duarden had hidden, and when you open it a certain way, it goes to Azir. When you open it a different way, it drops you off at a different point in the Realm of Metal. Now, these things have huge strategic importance. On a practical level, they make great objectives for Stormcast to go after. People were wondering, well, what's the point of the Realmgate Wars? Well, it's to secure vital pieces of important and tactical significance to the war effort, and being able to move troops as quickly as you can and resources and food for the battle effort is a huge deal, right? If you have a region of territory, let's say you were the Stormcast, you're trying to expand your foothold in, say, the Realm of Fire, which is where it all kind of started narratively. You would need to control every gate in your territory and either lock them or control everything on the other side of them. Because if you don't, something's going to get in behind your lines, and that's going to be a real problem. Now, we don't really have a great picture of, do they have all these realm gates mapped out? Does someone actually know where each and every single one of them is and where they go? It kind of seems like some of them we stumble upon, like they were rumored to be in this general region, but we're not quite sure because the lands have changed during the Age of Chaos. Some of them, there's just no idea. We had no idea this was here. So I would be interested to see if some of the new gods, things like that they introduce, have a firmer understanding of realm gates and is able to manipulate them on a tactical level. And the last little point I want to make here on this opening intro is that gates are interesting because they are structures that can be corrupted. And if a gate is corrupted, it points towards the realm of chaos rather than its original destination that it did before. And really, this makes a very stable point for demons to pass through. And whatever faction is corrupting that particular realm gate, the area around it takes on the aspects of that god. We saw this quite a bit in the earlier books of the Realmgate War series. We saw Vanus Hammerhand fighting Korgus Cole outside of one of the realm gates that Khorne had, and the blood was just like mud, but it was... And we saw this in the opening act of the Realmgate War series. For example, Vanus Hammerhand was fighting Korgus Cole, a Khornate Mighty Lord of Khorne, outside one of the realm gates there, and the ground was kind of muddy, but it was actually because it was blood, not water. And the wound in reality that the realm gate had put Khorne's presence in the earth around it, so everything's just infused with blood. There's fire everywhere. Skulls kind of collect around it. It's very, very intense. And likewise, when we went to the Realm of Life, the Nurgle worshippers were they were working on a realm gate, and there was like pus and sores and all kinds of nasty stuff all over the rocks of it. So it really does embody the aspects of whoever controls it. And then moving forward, there really are about 3 different kinds of realm gates, and they're not all specific types. They have a lot of different appearances, but 3 general categories, we'll call them. One is a model that we all know called the Baleful Realm Gate. And what a Baleful Realm Gate is a realm gate that has been corrupted on some level by chaos. As such, they aren't really suitable in terms of like stability for travelers because they flicker, and every once in a while some guy gets lost in the realm of chaos instead of the destination they were intending to go. And this is actually played out in the rules of the Baleful Realm Gate. And just like in the stories and in the rules, these things, priests and wizards can come and kind of soothe them and stabilize them, make it much more safer for travel. And if good guys want to claim them, they have to be captured, meaning kill anyone who's corrupting them, and then purified. But we're not really sure how to purify something like a realm gate, but we know that it is possible because we've revisited realm gates that we've been to, and they're different after the chaos guys have left. So it might just be time away from chaos kind of heals the wound, so to speak. Conversely, you have someone like Alariel who just brings forth healing and light to everything she's around, and so that might speed that process up. The next kind I want to talk about is the Archway. These are massive gates. Now, most gates you can kind of like over time march an army through. An Archway is something that you can have an entire army shoulder to shoulder march through. It's a big, big door. Obscenely massive. And these are the doors that connect the individual realms to the next thing we're going to talk about, which is called the All Gates. And these Archways were really the kind of seminal points in the ending of the story of the All Gates campaign. The only reason I make this a separate distinction from the Baleful Realm Gates is simply that, one, they're not necessarily corrupted. None of them are shown as being evil. They do still look like the realm that's around them, but they're not good or evil, or kind of neutral. And also that there is significance in the size of the realm gate, that these stand out as being called something different because they're so massive that an entire war effort can move through them easily. And the last little gate/area I want to talk about is the All Gates. Now, this was mentioned in the Games Workshop video, The Traveler's Guide. And what it is sort of like a little pocket realm. It's a little space in between all of the different realms where there's a gateway to every single one of them. As I mentioned, it goes to the Archway. And this singular location has massive strategic value. I cannot emphasize that enough. It was the entire crux of the year-long campaign. When chaos was allowed to pour into the All Gates, that is the seminal event that sealed the fate of the good guys. Right, this was the defining moment that began the Age of Chaos, because once that infection hit the All Gates, it was allowed to spread into the mortal realms unabated. Like, chaos was just everywhere, and so every god had their armies, they all had to pull back to their individual realms, try and secure their own borders rather than acting as a unified pantheon to fight off chaos. It was the defining moment. Now, at the All Gates, there are actually 6 of them. I stand corrected. They don't go to every single realm, but they go to Akshi, which means the realm of fire, Giran, the realm of life, Shyish, death, Chamon, metal, Gur is beasts, and Ulgu, the realm of shadows. So that's 6 total. And in the end of the Realmgate War series, I'll just kind of give you the quick spoiler about what happened. Chaos owned all of them throughout most of the books, and it was the good guys' efforts. Okay, we got to break the hold that Chaos has. We have to reclaim those gates, which means controlling them either at the point of the All Gates, which is very heavily fortified, or we can go to the actual archways in each of the realms and shut the door from the outside. This way, having the All Gates has less strategic value. At the end of the campaign, 2 were shut by the good guys. The realms of fire and life are cut off from the All Gates. 2 are owned by Chaos. That's the realm of Shyish and Chamon, so death and metal. And 2 of them actually wound up being neutral. The good guys got there, busted some stuff up, and so the Chaos doesn't have it. But for example, in Gur, something incredible happened where the gate is actually stuck in the mouth of a giant worm. And so they busted the Chaos hold on him, and then the worm went berserk, and now no one has control over it. It's just kind of doing its own thing. And so that's a really cool story where it's like, okay, this is a neutral thing, which is better than Chaos having it, but not super great. And then the other one is Ulgu, because a bunch of people went to the Realm of Shadows and came back either, well, they didn't come back, they came back dead, or they had no memory of what happened, which is super crazy and sets us up for some cool stuff coming up with Malarian in the Realm of Shadows. And as always, when I talk about lore content, I want to end my videos talking about, why is this cool? Why is it important? Why did we have an entire campaign called the Realmgate Wars? Well, here's the thing. One of the criticisms that I had of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, even before any of the Age of Sigmar stuff, right, was, why is this faction fighting this other one, right? Why are my High Elves? Why would High Elves ever fight Tomb Kings? They have no reason to go there. All that kind of stuff. Well, what Realmgates do, and I think the mechanism they wanted to introduce to the game, is because it creates interactions that wouldn't normally happen. Even if your narrative or the narrative for an army is based around like Bone Splitters are generally in the realm of beasts, okay? They do go out there sometimes, the book mentions it, but generally the biggest beast that they want to hunt for their kind of religion and so like that, they're in the realm of Gur, okay? Let's be honest. And so why would they leave there to go to some place that has very few large monsters, like maybe Shyish, because they're all like bone giants or whatever like that. So by having Realmgates like that, you create interactions that don't normally happen. Maybe the Bone Splitters poured into a gate, saw the giant remnant bones of like, I don't know, a bone giant or death mammoth. I'm just making stuff up here now, but they're like, oh, there must be big things here. There's big skeletons. And they just start tearing through Shyish looking for stuff. Maybe they find stuff, maybe they don't. But that's the kind of narrative interaction that you can create when you have kind of instant teleportation around various scenes. And I also like the fact that they physically represent what the area is like around them spiritually. That's very cool. We got a sense of this, as I mentioned before, with the 2 gates that we saw in the, I think it was Warstorm, the book, where one is controlled by Khorne, one's by Nurgle, and they have very different feels to them. So when you talk about a gate like the Khorne one, that's like oozing blood and their skulls are like, it gives you a feel for the entire scene, not just that scenery piece, right? This is what this whole camp is like, not just literally this, series of bricks that make an archway. It sets the tone for a scene for the story to take place in, and I love it. It's a great device for that. Realmgates also add specific geographic locations and importance to an abstract environment. One of the main criticisms that I certainly had when Age of Sigmar came out, and several others did, was they meant it to be, oh, this is a big sandbox, right? Make your own stories, that kind of stuff. And that's really cool. The problem is, if a sandbox is too big, it's just a desert, okay? And that's what I tell my friend Jack. There was so much abstract and openness that it was actually hard to make stories because you needed concrete locations and people. And so Realmgates provide that. You'll see in a lot of campaign books, like the Seasons of War had one, and that campaign that came out last year, the one set on fire, they give you a map and some like concrete ideas of, hey, if you want to play a campaign or you want to, demonstrate the war that's going on, have it take place here. Here's our few locations that are very important. Whoever claims the most by the end of the campaign wins. Okay, that is so much better than just there's no reason for anyone to be anywhere in any one specific place. But I also like the fact, and this kind of dovetails into the next thing, that they are still have the creative freedom to not be a singular location, right? The giant worm in the realm of Gur is called Fangathrax, and he has a Realmgate jammed in his mouth. So he takes it with him, and it's a mobile Realmgate. If someone didn't know where it went and they went through it, they'd wind up, first of all, in the mouth of a giant worm, which sucks, but also not knowing where they are in the realm of beasts. So you have both. You have stable ones that you can build a campaign around and have narrative for, and then you have some that, like, maybe you're chasing that Realmgate, whatever it's lodged in or however it's moving or its mechanism is. You can create stories based on those kinds of things. And really, when I talk about, how they physically represent the spiritual area, how they can move, how they can add strategic importance to actual geographic places, what I'm really saying is they can represent the realm, not just the local environment. The realm of beasts one moves around because it's a wild place. The Khorne ones bleed because he's all about blood. The ones in Hammerhall are like these beautiful golden arches. Why? Because that's what that Order army is like. And so when you look at Realmgates in books, don't just look at them in terms of a gateway or something like that, but look at how they're described, because what their author is really doing is setting a tone for the entire book in that setting. And folks, that is all I have to say on the Realmgates in the Mortal Realms. If you have just like 3 or 4 minutes, go ahead and check out that video I have in the link down in the description below. It is really, really incredible, and not a lot of folks have seen it because they decided to make it an unlisted video, which is very strange. And if you have an Age of Sigmar lore question, go ahead and click subscribe and leave it in the comments down below. I read your comments and I use them as inspiration for future videos. And as a little side note, I just want to put this in here. Last night, I launched the Patreon campaign, and you guys are incredibly humbling with all of the amazing support that you have given me. It just blows my mind, I can be honest with you. So I want to personally say thank you so much. As I said during the entire thing about Patreon, I make my videos about a week in advance, so I don't actually have time right now because I'm recording very quickly to get the end credits thing. But my promise is to you is that in the next week it'll be up there, and so you'll start to see those amazing patrons pouring in now. If you have a moment, go ahead and check it out. There's some really cool stuff there. Talking about games that I played, and there's a poll for what we cover next, which was already decided. We're going to do Daughters of Cain next week when it comes out, and I am just truly humbled and grateful for such an awesome community. And I look forward to seeing you guys in my next Age of Sigmar lore video. Thank you so much for watching, and happy wargaming.